Brilliance Audio presents Why the Rich Are Getting Richer by Robert Kiyosaki with Tom Wheelwright. Performed by Scott Merriman. Introduction. Once upon a time, all a person had to do was go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, buy a house, get out of debt, invest for the long term in the stock market, and live happily ever after. That fairy tale is over. One of the primary reasons for the growing gap between the rich, poor, and middle class is this fairy tale. Simply put, the people following this fairy tale are falling into the chasm between rich and poor. People who still believe in this fairy tale are in financial trouble today. 20 years ago. In 1997, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was first published. It was self-published because not one of the publishers we contacted thought I knew what I was talking about. And I believe most of my Rich Dad's lessons did not make sense 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was written as a warning of the coming economic crisis we are in today. And 20 years ago, I was lambasted for saying that your house is not an asset and savers are losers. But times have changed. You may recall 20 years ago, in 1997, the stock market was booming, jobs were plentiful, and the most popular book was The Millionaire Next Door, published in 1996. The Millionaire Next Door was a story about the people who followed the fairy tale, go to school, get a job, save money, get out of debt, and live happily ever after. Simply put, in 1996 it was easy to get rich. Almost everyone was getting rich. The millionaire next door had a college education, a good job, drove a conservative car, owned a house that was going up in value, and money in the stock market via a pension plan or a personal retirement plan. Life was good. It was easy to become a millionaire. The American dream was a reality. A warning. In 1996, Federal Reserve Bank Chairman Alan Greenspan warned of irrational exuberance, which meant people were drunk and delirious, believing getting rich was easy. In 1997, Rich Dad, Poor Dad was released. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was on the opposite side of the coin from The Millionaire Next Door. My rich dad did not believe in job security, saving money, living below your means, driving an economy car, getting out of debt, or investing for the long term in the stock market. The world changed. Then in 2000, the dot-com bubble burst. 9/11 drove home the fact that global terrorism was not that far from our doors. The real estate bubble bust in 2007, and the nation's biggest banks crashed in 2008. Interest rates were cut to below zero, and savers became losers. Oil prices plunged, causing oil-based economies to wobble, and the war on terror escalated. The European Union came under strain as Greece, Italy, and Spain struggled. The rich got richer as the stock market reached new heights, but the working poor and middle class got poorer. Today, the world is tossing and turning through the toughest economic crisis in history. 20 years later. Today, many millionaires next door are unemployed, and their house is the foreclosure next door. Today, young people are going to school, graduating, burdened in many cases with crushing student loan debt, and often unable to find that mythical high-paying job. Today, U.S. student loan debt is $1.2 trillion, greater than U.S. credit card debt. Many students will never be able to afford a house because they do not earn enough money and are paying off their student loans. Many students and college graduates still live at home. Many educated young people have found jobs but are underemployed. The failure of young people to gain priceless, meaningful, challenging, real-life work and business experience is another time bomb for our future. Savers are losers. Today, savers are losers. Interest rates on savings are at historic lows. Japan, Sweden, and the Eurozone have negative interest rates. Pensions are in trouble. Most pension plans, private and public, operate on a 7.5% return on pensioners' savings. CalPERS, California Public Employees Retirement System, and the biggest government employee pension plan in the United States, is operating at less than a 2% return on equity, which means millions of government employees' pensions are underwater. Social Security and Medicare are in the red. Is another massive taxpayer bailout on the horizon? The robots are coming. Making matters worse, the robots are coming. In his book, Rise of the Robots, Technology and the Threat of a Jobless Future, Martin Ford explains why the fairy tale of going to school to get a secure job is delusional. Odds are that even if you are a medical doctor, a robot can replace you today, not tomorrow. The world's richest countries are racing to develop robots, technology to replace human beings. Not only may McDonald's employees soon be out of work, but the future of journalists, teachers, and professionals like lawyers, doctors, and accountants are also problematic. Martin Ford was not writing about jobs going overseas to low-wage countries. He is writing about humans being replaced by robots. He states that America can now compete with low-wage countries in manufacturing. Unfortunately, America will compete with robots, not human labor. The message is clear. Mass unemployment has arrived. Our new president. In 2016, Donald Trump was elected President of the United States in a landslide. Millions are afraid of him and what he will do. On the flip side, millions voted for him because they know the pain of cities dying and unemployment rising. I voted for him because he represented change. And in my opinion, many things need to change. Donald Trump is a friend of mine. We have written 2 books together. While I cringed at some of his off-the-cuff, insensitive remarks about women, race, and religion, the person I got to know is a good man, as well as a great parent and a great leader. His 3 older children are fantastic young people. Kim and I have been invited to their weddings. His staff is made up of powerful, self-determined, articulate women who have been with him for decades. His wife Melania is elegant, beautiful, and speaks her mind, as well as 5 languages. My wife Kim respects Donald Trump because of the way he treats women. Donald Trump and I got together to write books because we are both concerned about the first line in the fairy tale. Go to school. We chose to co-author books because we are both educators. We both had rich dads, and we are concerned about the quality of education in America today. We believe real financial education must be made available to all students. President Trump has a tough job ahead because the United States and the world are in financial trouble. He too knows the fairy tale is over. Why this book? This book is written as the graduate school version of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book explains what real financial education is and why the rich are getting richer. The difference between rich, poor, and middle class is education. Unfortunately, not the education found in schools. Real financial education must include a bit of financial history. This crisis did not just happen. This financial crisis has been brewing for over 100 years, since 1913, the year the Federal Reserve System and the U.S. tax system was created. This book will go into a brief history of this crisis. When you understand the historical events that have led to this crisis, you will understand why the millionaire next door, the person who continues to believe in the fairy tale, is in financial trouble today. The millionaire next door is very much like my poor dad. For years, no one cared that factories were moving out of the country. For years, no one cared that once high-paying jobs were leaving the country. For years, no one cared that towns across the United States were dying. For years, the financial, political, and academic elite lived well, out of touch with the parts of America that were dying. Senator Bernie Sanders got it, which is why he almost beat Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primary. Donald Trump gets it, which is why today he is President of the United States. Who will save you? My concern is that too many people are counting on President Trump to save them. While Donald Trump is a great man, he is not Superman. I doubt he can save anyone unless they are first willing to save themselves. Donald Trump and I got together because we do not believe in giving people fish, as Bernie Sanders and many others believe. Donald Trump and I believe in teaching people to fish. My first book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, was written 20 years ago in 1997 to teach people to fish. Warning number 1, real education. This book, Why the Rich Are Getting Richer, is the advanced version of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad Graduate School. If you have not read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I suggest you read that book first before listening to this book. This book is for graduate students of Rich Dad, those already familiar with the principles and lessons in that book. As with all Rich Dad books, I have done my best to keep things simple. This book is simple, but what the rich do is not easy. The 90-10 rule of money. There is a rule of money known as the 90-10 rule. That rule states that 10% of the people earn 90% of the money. This book and Rich Dad, Poor Dad are about the 90-10 rule of money. The good news is that with real financial education, almost everyone can be in the 10% who earn 90% of money. In this book, you will find out why it does not require a high-priced college education from a prestigious school to be part of the 10%. In fact, many of the richest people in the world never finished college, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and Walt Disney being among them. The challenge for you is to decide. Do you have the spirit, determination, and drive to gain a real financial education? If you are a quitter, don't want to work hard, or are not willing to study, this book is not for you. If you are a person who believes that life should be easy and the government should take care of you, then this book is definitely not for you. The point is, this book is about real financial education, the education not found in school. Warning number 2, taxes. President Barack Obama beat Republican candidate Governor Mitt Romney in 2012 for many reasons. One reason was taxes. Barack Obama disclosed that he paid 30% in taxes. Mitt Romney paid less than 14% in taxes on income of over $20 million. Donald Trump never released his tax returns, which drove his opponents crazy. Whether that was smart or devious depends on your point of view on taxes. Much of this book is about taxes. If you love paying taxes and want to pay more in taxes, this book is not for you. If you want to learn how people like Mitt Romney and Donald Trump make millions and pay very little in taxes, this book is for you. Taxes are fair. Many people believe taxes are unfair. What is unfair is the lack of real financial education that would help people to better understand taxes. The fact is that tax laws are for everyone. Anyone can pay less in taxes if they have real financial education to use the tax law to their advantage. Since taxes are such a hot and controversial subject, I have asked my personal tax advisor, Tom Wheelwright, to be my adjuvant, my authority on the subject of taxes in writing this book. Tom is the smartest, brightest, most diligent CPA I have ever met. One reason the rich get richer is because they have advisors like Tom guiding them. The challenge is that an advisor like Tom Wheelwright can only do so much. If you truly want to earn millions and pay less, even zero in taxes, you have to do what the rich do. Tom can do very little to help the millionaire next door. Tax lessons from Tom. Taxes reward the financially educated. Taxes are not intended to punish people. They are intended to reward those who do what the government wants them to do. It takes financial education and action to know and to do what the government will reward you to do. This book will give you insights into how the government rewards those willing to follow their policies. For more in-depth information on the tax rewards for being financially educated, I invite you to take a look at my Rich Dad Advisor series book, Tax-Free Wealth, or visit taxfreewealthadvisor.com. Warning number 3. You can't do this. You can't do this here. Tom Wheelwright and the other Rich Dad advisors travel the world teaching the lessons taught in this book. Everywhere we visit, including cities across the United States, there are people who raise their hands and say, "You can't do that here." In most instances, the person is like the millionaire next door, often a medical doctor, lawyer, accountant, or financial advisor. As you listen to this book, you too will probably say, "You can't do this here." The reason most people say they can't is because they lack real financial education. Tom Wheelwright often invites another CPA from the country we are visiting to join us on stage to verify that what we teach can be done in the country we are in. Even then, people will argue, "You can't do this here." And the fact is, they can't. Without the real financial education described in this book, no one can do what the rich do, even if they are medical doctors, MBAs, lawyers, or even other CPAs. The following explains who cannot do what we do. Imagine 4 quadrants with the letter E at the top left, the letter S at the bottom left, the letter B at the top right, and the letter I at the bottom right. Each letter stands for a type of person. I call this the cash flow quadrant. People who say, "You can't do this here," are most often E's, employees, and S's, small business owners, or specialists such as doctors or lawyers, or the self-employed, people like real estate agents, web designers, and hairdressers. Considering the cash flow quadrant again, you may get a better idea of why some people say, "You can't do this here," and why some people are doing it. Barack Obama is an E, and Hillary Clinton is an S. Donald Trump and Mitt Romney, on the other hand, are B's. The B quadrant stands for big business, businesses with 500 employees or more. The I quadrant represents professional investors. Most E's and S's invest like the millionaire next door. They are retail investors who invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. Professional investors are people who manufacture their own investments or invest at wholesale prices. The people who say, "You can't do this," are E's and S's who invest in paper assets. This book describes what people in the B and I quadrants really know and do. You can do what the B and I quadrants do if you are willing to invest in your real financial education. If you do, you will be one of the few who truly know why the rich are getting richer. Joining the 90-10 Club. If you are willing to do what it takes to make it to the B and I quadrants, you will join the 90-10 Club, in that 10% that makes 90% of the money. If you are not willing to join the ranks of the 10%, you can join the crowd who would rather say, "You can't do this here," even if they could. The reason most people say, "You can't do this here," is because it is easier to push back and challenge the prospect of actually doing it than to do it. This book is for anyone, rich or poor, highly educated or not, who wants to do it. Robert is not a Republican or Democrat. He is an independent voter and an advocate for financial education. The mission of the Rich Dad Company: to elevate the financial well-being of humanity.